Hey everyone, Damon here. Just thought, been an idea we've been tossing up for a while now of starting this weekly, maybe fortnightly, try and do it weekly, recap video of what we've got going on in the shop. It's some pretty cool builds, to me pretty cool, we've been working on, and it'd be good to show more of it. There's only so much sort of photos cover when we post them up on social media, and saying that we're pretty piss poor at keeping up to date with photos and all that, but if we can get a few clips here and there and put together a 5-10 minute video every week to sort of show you what we're working on, might give you some ideas for your own builds or a bit of motivation, and yeah, keeps us keeping track of all the cool stuff we're doing, so one day we can look back and go, yeah, we've built some cool stuff. Anyway, I guess we'll do a quick little rundown of what we're working on this week, and then I'll get some clips during the week. Anthony's not here at the moment, he's away in Japan, so it's easy for me to do this now than having that fucking rough-headed guy looking at me, laughing at me while I'm trying to video myself. So here we go, let's show you what we've got going on. First of all, this week's sort of main project, we're working on this RX3 drag car. It's sort of a half tube chassis, ladder bar rear end, factory front half, and we've been asked to put a 3-rotor in it. So we've gone ahead, we've got the front engine mount, cross members had to be modified, the drag link had to be modified, and had to make a transmission cross member. We've also got around to getting a turbo manifold made up, just a real basic one, because we're sort of running out of space with how large this turbo is. Got the oil and the fuel pump mounted up. I've gone through and got the hyper-tuned throttle body, welded this sort of Wiggins ferrule onto it, and yeah, I'll lift the car up and I'll show you what we've done with our engine mounting. Now the car's up in the air, we can sort of run through how we've mounted the motor and transmission and modified the cross member and stuff like that. So first of all, got this tubular front motor mount. Don't worry about the zip ties, we've still got to make spacers and adapters for the sway bar. Also gone through and modified the K-frame, because the with the 3-rotor in it, I guess it's a fair bit different to how the 2-rotor was. We didn't have that in the car when it turned up, so we've just sort of made it work to how we see. Being that it's got a dry sump setup, we can fabricate a nice little dry sump pan. Really need 20 or 30 mil of pan with that, and then have all the dash 12 fittings for the scavenge system. We've also modified the drag link here. This never had the bend in it. Now we've sort of modified the factory pieces, made a nice little drag link up for sump clearance in here, and then just a basic little cross member for the Power Glide. And we've still got to do some sheet metal up in here. That's a removable transmission cover, so that should be pretty easy to modify. It's being that the whole motor, the whole trans has been moved back about 200 mil. We'll just have to make some little clearancing on that pan for the starter motor. Anyway, anyone wants to see the rear end in this thing? It's got a ladder bar set up. Yeah, that's it. Now we've looked at the RX3, we'll do a quick little shop walk around. A little bit messy at the moment. We're sort of still getting on top of actually figuring out how to organise the workshop. It's always had an issue that I've had, is getting a home for everything, and sort of how busy we always are. There's parts everywhere, so you're sort of, by the time you get the parts installed on a car, the car's out, next one's in, boxes of parts everywhere, and so on and so on. Got this F6 come in with sort of like a low mount turbo setup. We've got a 6 boost, pulsar, got to do some custom piping, so it should be a pretty basic one, this one. Get that done, do a bit of fuel system upgrades and cooling upgrades, and then get that out for a tune. What else is there? The Altered is a car we finished, and then the customer decided they wanted to do some more work on it, so we modified this chassis extensively, put a torsion bar front end in it, so now it's actually got front suspension. Did all the shock mounts, custom fuel tank, motor mounts, body mounts, wing mounts, just you name it. Did a heap on that. So that was finished, and then the customer decided he wants us to fit the motor up. So it's just here for a couple of weeks now. We're waiting on the motor to get dropped off. Can fit the motor up, do all the plumbing for the fuel tank and the mechanical fuel system, and then got to make some brake pedals and throttle pedals work, shifter linkage, stuff like that. And then you can have it back so you can wire it and plumb it. And yeah, hopefully this will be a fast car. The Supra we've had in here for a while. It's sort of like a long-term project. Come to us with nothing. We fitted the motor, did a fair bit of motor work, just basic seals, balancer, clutch, bolts up to the V161. We've then gone ahead and supplied Hypertune rock covers, intake manifold, did all the stainless pipe work, custom turbo manifold using all the Hypex bends, Phoenix intercooler, Koyo rad, so on and so on. Next plan for this is get it up and start plumbing it. We've got oil, fuel systems, all that kind of stuff to do. Get it all plumbed up so then we can get it sent to the auto Lex and get wired up, and should be pretty much done then. Like, it's sounds like a little, but it's a lot. What else is there? The RX8. This is another job that's sort of come in for a few little things and has stayed. You can tell it's a bit dusty. We had some earthworks done out the front the other day, and the roller door got open, so everything's dusty. So this come to us with nothing. It was a rolling bear shell. Grubby did the cage in it sometime early last year. Come to us for a dashboard and a switch panel, and then stayed. Customers decided to choose us to do the engine conversion. So going through motor mounts, we did a steering rack conversion to MX5 rack, transmission mounts. What else? We've done the cooling system. So we've done an angled sort of, say, a V mount with a duct setup for the radiator, fans, intake. That's a catch can and a swirl pot for the coolant. Auto Lex been coming past, wiring up the ECU. So sort of waiting on him to wire that up, and then we can go full steam ahead. Got to get some headers and exhausts made, and then start plumbing this one up too. We've got an accumulator to go on it, oil cooler, the oil filter relocation's already been mounted up, and then we can go ham on that one. But for now, RX3 is sort of a priority, and then we'll jump into this one, and then that one, and this one, and yeah, it was pretty crazy at the moment. That's my car. Probably should hang it from the roof because I don't have time to work on it. Got Corey's Corolla. This was another sort of long-term project. He's got a couple of other cars he's been worried about, but it's a 4-link sort of rear system. We've done custom chassis rails, chopped it all up, mounted the diff, mounted the suspension. We've got some tubs sitting here to go in, but we're flat knacker at the moment, and he's sort of just said put it on the back burner for now. We'll get stuck into that one. But yeah, that's sort of a quick recap of what's in the shop today. So we've gone ahead and welded the new Wiggins style ferrule to the Hypertune throttle body. Then we've welded the other side of the ferrule to a 90-degree bend. But we used a donut in this case, just because we need some tight radius, super tight radius to get 4-inch piping in there. And we do still have to fit a radiator and the oil cooler in there. So that's all on, just roughly bolted up. We've done the turbo bend. We've welded a 90-degree donut bend straight to the housing with a ferrule on the end of it. So we'll go ahead, bolt the housing back onto the turbo and start joining the dots. So now the front housing's back on the turbo. So it's pretty as simple as join this bit of pipe to this bit of pipe. Just that easy. Gotta say, it's probably the most easiest intercooler piping I've done in a long time. So we'll bolt this ferrule on. So that's a 3.5 to a 4-inch cone, because the housing's 3.5, inlet's 4. So we do have to expand it somewhere. So expand it straight out of that. Then hopefully it's just another 90 back into there with a couple of bits of straight. So I've just finished up the charge pipe. A few little clips there, I've thrown it together. Not heaps. I forgot to film. I just sort of get in the work groove and get stuff finished. But anyway, here we go. So we've got charge pipe all done. Just a couple of bends. Got these ferrules, like the clamshell couplings on here. Blow-off valves situated over here. There's that nice short little charge pipe. Now what we're gonna do is probably move this oil cooler across and up, and then put the radiator back in this piece, just so we can get some more airflow to the turbo. Don't really want to have the radiator, the air coming through the grill, through the radiator into the turbo. So we'll try and keep the radiator over this side. But there's that. That's a charge pipe on and done. Waiting on some stuff tomorrow that should turn up, so we can sort out the dump pipe. We might have to relocate the wastegate a little bit, because we're gonna use these holes that are already in. Someone's already from the previous setup had holes in the guards. But anyway, there's that. Got a turbo in with charge pipe done. So we'll get stuck into some more things tomorrow. So it's the next day. We've got that charge pipe fitted up, and we've also gone ahead and fitted the radiator up. We had to make a new filler neck because we've moved the radiator forward. So we've made a little bend with the filler neck on it, and we've had to change the outlets to -12 to suit the electric water pump it'll have. So charge pipe's on, that's all in, all buttoned up. Radiator's in. There's the little elbow we've had to put on it. Where is it? There, the little elbow. Couple of fittings and stuff we needed for temp sensors. So now that's all on. I'm waiting on a V-band flange for the dump. It's a massive precision one. Had to order it in, so that's on its way. Once we've got that, we can put the dump pipe out there, modify the gate. But for now, we've got a couple other things to mock up. We've got to fit the oil tank for the dry sump and a fuel tank. So we've gone ahead to a dry sump tank here. I've made up this little bracket. It'll go like that. That'll get 2 big hose clamps around it to hold the tank, so it's can be swiveled and mounted. And also not welding to the tank, because these have lots of baffles and oil to air separator they spin the oil and do all this weird stuff. So we don't want to weld to it in case we damage any of that. So this will get clamped on. This bracket now will get bolted in like this. So we've got to figure out a position. That'll get bolted in, make a little sandwich plate, and that'll be all sorted. And then we're onto the fuel tank. So this was a fuel tank that was in the car. This car wasn't dry sump originally, so this tank was really far forward. Problem is, that's where we need to put the oil tank. So we're gonna have to move this back. Issue then, wheel's gonna rub. So we won't be able to use this tank. We're gonna have to make a custom aluminium one up. It's going to have a bit of a radius in it. We will change the dimensions a bit to keep the capacity, but as you can already tell, even with it all the way forward, the wheel used to rub on this, so that's another job. So we'll get that mounted, we'll measure up, start bending and folding up a tank, get that welded up, get that fitted, and then hopefully by the Arvo we get our flanges and we can start doing the dump pipe. So once that's done, pretty sure that'll be the majority of, forgot. We've got to make the sump. We're still going to make a complete oil pan to suit the dry sump system. Got a flange on its way, getting laser cut. Once we get that, then we can fold up a nice little pan, I think we need 4-12 outlets for the scavenge and a drain, and that should be it. And then this car can go off, get wired, and we can jump on to the next project. So it's now Friday. I know those videos have jumped around a little bit, but today I've been on a mission, or yesterday Arvo and today we've been on an absolute mission. We've got the oil tank mounted and we've got the dump pipe done. You can see here, nice, out the guard, a little bit of a turn down, so that's all sorted there. Didn't really film much, but now our next job is to get the wastegate from here out the hole up there. So I'll try and film some of that, get some more content than just me talking. But that to do, once the wastegate's done, I think we're up to there. Mount the coolant overflow, like the little catch bottle thing. I don't know what you call it. The yeah, little overflow there. And then we're on to making the fuel tank and the oil pan. I think waiting on a bunch of fittings and stuff for that, and then we can get stuck into that. But let's get this wastegate screamer pipe done. So we've cut up a little 45 here. That's only, funnily enough, they've been super easy with the plastic on here. I just jam the pipe in there and sort of half holds itself in position. So I think we're going to aim to have sort of something like that. That kind of look. Sort of a bit of a fan of that. Not crazy. I was originally thinking about doing a teardrop, but with this how big these 5-inch bends are, the teardrop was going to be like this long and it just wasn't going to look that great. So we've gone with this. We've just got this bend sort of sitting in place here, and it should be, I'm hoping, it's as simple as another 90-degree off that and out the thing. Then we'll have this nice sort of, you know, wrap around look. See how it goes when we tack it together, but I'm hoping that looks pretty good. Give it sort of a bit of a something to look at, fancy it up a little bit because the rest of the bay is pretty basic, but it is a race car. It's not here to win show awards, we're here to try and go fast. Seems like here we're just a bit long and we need a bit more orientation to it. So we'll cut these back and then, yeah, go from there. So gone ahead here, got my bend, tacked it to a bit of scrap pipe. I do like the result a lot better when you clamp it like that and you can choose how much you cut off rather than trying to clamp the bend into here and then you never end up with the cut square and then your fit up's always a bit rough. So I, yeah, tack it onto a bit of scrap just to square it up a little bit when you cut it. So we've got the screamer pipe tacked up. Don't mind the big horse cock hanging out the side. Only used the straight bit there to centralise the hole. That's going to get cut back. Anyway, we've gone with this sort of like squiggly, I don't know what to say, spaghetti pipe, such gates down the bottom, and these holes are already in the guard, so I'm trying to utilize those. If I went under that way, we'd have wheel clearance. So we've done this bit of like a, you know, spaghetti pipe kind of thing. Comes out like this, and then I've made this little bend now that's going to get cut back and sort of put in the guard. So then that's going to sort of follow the same angle as the dump pipe as such. So we'll chop that back, tack it on, and see how she all looks. So it's Friday Arvo. Just finished off mounting a few things, sort of ticked off my weekly list that I wanted to get done for this. So all the exhaust sides done, wastegate's done, that's all final welded and bolted up. I reckon they come out of the guard looking pretty nice, sort of roughly sort of how the customer was after it. The turbo manifold's done. All we're waiting on is some K-style or K-type EGT's bungs to go in there. Intercooler piping's done. The radiator's modified. I know a few people are going to ask about why the fins are a bit bent. Being a methanol car, the radiator's
not really doing much. They still need water flow, just the way that this motor's built. Get some water flow, helps with actually getting the car cooled down for the next run. So realistically, doesn't need to be that efficient. It just sort of needs to be there. Plus, the customer already had it. We had to just put a few bungs on it, put it up in there. Don't really see it. He's happy with that for now. We've got oil tank mounted, and also the radiator overflow mounted. That's all there. Tied up in that corner, so we've got lots of room to build that fuel cell next week. Charge pipes on with all these couplings in there. Blower valves done. That's all situated. 100% happy, stoked. So next week we've pretty much just got the sump and the fuel tank to do. Pull everything apart. Get it all torn apart. We're just going to send a couple of things to powder coat, paint a couple of things ourselves. Anything we may need to modify for brackets in the future, we won't get powder coated. If they do change a few things, I'd rather them just be painted in some 2-packs, so then we can just clean the paint off, modify it, paint it again, and keep using it. You've got to keep in mind it is a race car, so we sort of leave things not perfect in the way of like the final finish, because they need to be accessible, they need to be usable. Could have done a few things on the piping to make it a bit more aesthetically pleasing. Just to the way this pipe pops out like that rather than running straight on. Reason for that is so that we can get the mechanical fuel pump and oil pump off, the belt off, to replace it, and to loosen it off so we can get a right angle drill in here, spin this up. There's room in here to fit my Milwaukee ratchet or right angle drill, just so we can prime the oil and the fuel system up at the track without pulling the cooler pipe off. So a few little things like that we've had to keep in mind, where if it was more of a showy street car, we would have squared stuff up, made it a lot more parallel and look a bit nicer to the eye. But for this thing, we just need to get into the 7s. Fingers crossed that it gets there one day. Really keen to see sort of what power and that makes on the dyno, and then what it does when it gets on the track. So yeah. So that's week 1. I guess I'll film a little outro here, try to wrap it up. Well, we didn't just work on this week. I know that's the only thing I really, sort of time I had to not slow time, but just more accessible time to be able to film and do things like that. I smashed out wiring up a Microtech ECU and getting that running in a little autocross like EJ Civic with this D series in it. Basic little fuel management system, just so it's tunable. Customers got options down the track to put a little turbo on it or whatever they want to do. Wasn't running. It had been, the loom was butchered, a lot of stuff was butchered, and it just sort of got to a point where spending $1,000 on a basic aftermarket ECU was the way to go. He opted that, dropped that at the tuners. When they were setting some stuff, they realized it had low fuel pressure. That was the Savo like an hour ago. So I think Monday I'll head around there with a fuel filter and a fuel pump. I think that'll all be the issue. It's been sitting around for a while, so probably a bit of crud in the tank to block that up, because it's still got fuel pressure, but it's sort of just fluctuating a bit. So we'll just sort of fix those variables. What else do we have? Had a few little small jobs. Customers dropping off rocker covers and stuff for AN fittings. A couple little aluminium repair jobs. What else did we do? A fair bit of ordering. Got a few jobs coming up, so I had to sort of plan ahead. Got some parts here for the Supra. Get stuck back into that. The RX8. Got to get stuck into that. Just sort of spent probably a day doing some bookwork and that. Anthony not being here, it sort of slows down the process, but he should be back next week, and try and get him on board, try and film what he's doing throughout the week. He's sort of, so we can sort of see both aspects of what we've been working on. But anyway, hope he's enjoyed. That was sort of the first video. If you did like it, let me know. If it's trash, let me know. Either way, see you all soon.